What's up, it's your boy Daquan, and we are back with the update for the Spartan Barbarian throw build that I've been messing around with for probably about 100 hours on my solo Tactician Baldur's Gate 3 run. So in this video, we do have timestamps so that way you're able to see what's more valuable to you, be able to jump around and see all that good stuff. We have the progression going from level 1 to 12 as a Barbarian Multiclass, and we have the different options of playing around with Fighter, even Fighter 11, the Assassin. I messed around with Gloomstalker for a little bit as well, which is kind of crazy. So this video is also going to contain a couple of tips and tricks that I found along the way. One of them being the ability to get back your rage charges without having a long rest, which is a really cool option to play around with inside of multiplayer. And I will have some of the longer form fights for the bosses inside of Act 1, Act 2, as well as Act 3. So that way you're able to get a good benchmark of how strong you can be at a certain point inside the game. And you can be like, yo, I need to go back and get some more items. Or, yo, this guy stinks. Why did he put out a video on this? This guy doesn't even know what he's doing. You know, you got some good old options. But let's hop right into it. So I went back to an earlier save to go in and showcase this. This build revolves around pretty much just stacking applications of damage. The Ring of Flinging is amazing for this because you'll see that Thorn boost come into play in a little bit. It's way more than 1d4. The Callous Glow Ring is going to be way more than just that 2 damage. These gloves right here is going to provide you with another 1d4, which work very well. Very similar to the way that these rings work. Instead of those gloves, you can run the Sparkle Hands. Is going to be fantastic. So this helmet provides you with a little bit of extra damage. And this sword, which is very missable, is one of the best additions to this build if you want to do as much burst damage as possible. So all those items work in tandem with a weapon that has the thrown modifier on it, so that way you are able to do the damage of the weapon when you end up tossing it out. Things such as dipping, and some of these modifiers actually do not apply when you end up throwing the weapon. Not sure if that's a bug, not sure if that's intentional, but we are taking advantage of the opportunity to do a whole lot of damage with some of the other things that we're capitalizing on inside of the build. So all those work in tandem with a weapon that has the thrown modifier on it, which is going to allow you to do the full damage of the weapon. Now, some of them have homing weapon on them, which is going to allow the weapon to come back. Eldritch Knight is able to make thrown weapons or weapons in general come back to you. But there's a way that you can use the Eldritch Knight ability to make the weapon come back without even being inspected to the class at all, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But here we go, let's get in a good old throw. Okay, we crit, so that's kind of fake. It's kind of fake. It's that's fake. Okay. So we crit. Alright, so we did end up critting, which is both fortunate and unfortunate. But we're going to go ahead and throw at somebody else because we do have extra turns. So that way we can see these numbers in a little bit more of a one-to-one situation so I can explain things a little bit better. So another thing that you can do, you can turn on thrown weapons, or you can clean out your inventory. Either one works. But this will allow you to throw the weapons without that lag that you probably just saw right there. And will help the gameplay go a little bit smoother. I didn't crit again, did I? I didn't crit again. I did. I crit again. Okay, buddy. We're gonna hit this one. We're gonna hit this one. So as long as the target is alive, you will see an incredible amount of numbers. And I think we're seeing less than what we would typically see due to the fact that they're dying before they should. So this is with the crit. And this is with all of our good old buffs on. So he got, like, he fell over already, but it's still doing damage to him. So we're still seeing the damage numbers. All this is just the one throw, by the way, which is insane. So let's go ahead and look at these numbers real quick. So the bludgeoning, we're getting the 1d4 bludgeoning, and we're getting 1d4 bludgeoning. Where are those coming from? So both of those are coming from this good old ring right here, 1d4 for the throw damage because it's bludgeoning, as well as these good old gloves. We're getting that 1d4. Then we're getting the rage damage, the 1d8 from the weapon itself, which is cool. And then we have the necrotic, which is coming from the helmet. This 4 is coming from this good old Elixir power right here. Getting the 2 from the good old ring. 11 bludgeoning damage, just another application of it, just applying. So right here, our lightning charge is getting modified by our rage. And then due to it being lightning charge damage, we're getting another instance another separate instance of our Elixir power, another instance of our radiant damage, and then you can pretty much see the rest. Now the sword is applying the thunder by itself, and then we're getting more instances, psychic damage, radiant, and then more thunder damage for the sword, more psychic, more radiant. Then we're getting the Tavern Brawler procs of the extra strength damage and some more bludgeoning, which you can increase even further if you're using a cloud giant strength potion. Elixir. So for our level 1, we're going to start off the game with 16 strength. This is going to work out well because we want to be able to throw things, throw people, and, you know, hit people hard. 14 dexterity is going to work out well because it's going to give us that additional roll to initiative, as well as going to give us max AC when we're wearing a medium piece of armor. A medium piece of armor we can actually grab from Lizel Thornberry. We can just, you know, mug her a little bit and get that. We'll have pretty high AC at the very beginning of the game. Constitution, of course, for that good bulk. 12 wisdom to get us out of those situations where we need that wisdom saving throw. 8 intelligence. We don't really need intelligence too much because we just yell and things work out. And then charisma. We don't really need too much charisma because we just yell and things work out. For your race, you can pick whatever you want. I have personally ran into situations where if I play one of the short king races that I did not have enough distance, barely. So I always lean towards the half wood elves as well as the wood elves. There are some really, really good options that you can play around with that have different bonuses that can help out with the build, but once again, they are not going to be drastic changes. So this racer right here, Duger, whatever it is, these have the advantage against the illusions, charmed as well as paralyzed, which are going to be very nice inside of the game. On top of the fact that at level 3 they get enlarged, which is going to give you a 1d4 to your melee as well as your throws, and then at 5 they get invisibility. So halfling is great because you're going to run into critical misses here and there. Having the ability to re-roll that is nice. The only downside is the lower mobility as well as the fact that you're going to end up getting thrown around. I do like the Strongheart variation to give you some of that poison resistance. Half Orc is good because of Relentless Endurance, which is going to keep you alive a little bit longer. And then Savage Attacks does not end up proccing on the thrown weapons, but if you wanted to kind of safeguard yourself and melee a little bit, Savage Attacks is very nice for that. And to touch back on Elf a little bit, it has the advantage against Charmed and also can't be put to sleep, which sleep is a pretty big factor early inside the game. Or if you wanted to do a low life variation of the build later on, this can also help out. When you are first starting out the game, you're going to start this off as a Barbarian. This is what you're going to do for progression through Act 1 up to Act 2. When you do get to the point where you can put some points into Fighter, this can be Act 2 or Act 3, depending on what your preference is. You will start off as a fighter. Start with Barbarian. I'm just going to take this straight up to level 4. We're going to go with the Berserker Barbarian. It's going to allow us to get the good old Frenzy and the Enraged Throw. Level 4, we're picking up Tavern Brawler. This is going to help us with our unarmed attack as well as our armed attacks. So we're going for the 17 strength here. Because we have the Hag's Hair, we're getting an additional 1 to our strength, which will put us at 18. And then at 5, we finish it up with a good old Barbarian point. Now, as you're progressing through the game, 6 and 7 will actually be Fighter. So this will be Fighter not only to give you the defense bonus, but also to give you the access to Action Surge when you ultimately do hit level 7. So we're going to go ahead and go down the Eldritch Knight path so I can show you how you can get your weapon to come back to you, even if you're not an Eldritch Knight. Cantrips for Eldritch Knight. Light is solid because you're going to be able to apply light to your weapon, which will add to your overall damage. Illusion has its uses. Friends has its uses as well. Let's go with Illusion. For your spells, I love Magic Missile because I hate missing. That's the bane of my existence. So we're going to go Magic Missile. And having Shield in the slot is not bad at all. Shield or Thunder Wave. Thunder Wave for the things that you can't push off or can't get rid of. Solid low AoE. Burning Hands is also a solid low AoE. So I'd either go Thunder Wave or Shield. Typically I go with Thunder Wave. Here in this slot, Long Strider is great. This in tandem with being a Berserker is going to give you so much mobility. So now we're at the level 8 point right here. And we have the Weapon Bond. Now the Weapon Bond, the weapon that is in your main hand, that will allow you to bond to it, so that way you're able to throw it and have it come back to you. So we got the Jabber in our hand. Doesn't have any buffs. The buff will be in this little section right here. And we're going to do this. And now the weapon is bound. Now let's go ahead and do this as well. We're going to throw light on it, which is our cantrip. And you can see, it's right back in our inventory. Now, this is one of the advantages of being an Eldritch Knight. And like I mentioned earlier, you can keep this without being an Eldritch Knight. So now we're 5 Barbarian, 3 Rogue. Now let's see if we can go ahead and throw this jabber and it'll come back to us. And it came back. Now we look at it again. And it wasn't there for a second, but now it's right back. Bound weapon, and we still have light. We can throw this bad boy again and again and again. You see that the buff went back on it as well. So that's how you can finesse it in order to get your good old Eldritch Knight buff onto another class. For 8, you either go Eldritch Knight with 5 Barbarian, or you go Rogue into Thief with Barbarian. I do like Assassin inside of some fights. But the unfortunate case is, getting the surprise is pretty inconsistent, because some fights I haven't been able to surprise the enemy. It would be amazing to run surprise, go invisible, run to an enemy, get the surprise proc, and then crit everybody for the whole round. Probably be able to clear out a whole room pretty easily with the automatic crits of doing, what, like 150, 200 something damage each throw. But unfortunately that's not the case. It's less consistent than what I've wanted it to be. So level 9, regardless if you are a fighter or a good old thief, is going to end up being level 4 for whatever that one is. And you're going to go for alert. That 5 initiative is great, and then you're not being able to be surprised. So at this point in the game, you're level 10. Now, I go fighter here. Ultimately, you ended up respeccing and then starting off fighter, so that way you can get all those benefits from all the weapons, be able to wear all the armor. So it'll be fighter. And then for 11, you would go fighter again. So this will give you action surge and give you a very, very nice amount of HP, 105. This is in tactician mode, so your HP is a little bit lower. And then for 12, you could go down the barbarian route, do the extra rage charge, as well as you're immune to being charmed, frightened while you're frenzied. So there are a ton of different options that you can play around with, and I'll put them up right here so you can read those. So now I just want to talk about some of the consumables that work for this build and where you can go ahead and get them. So inside of Act 1's Jewelry Grove, you're looking for Auntie Ethel. So you can buy 3 of these elixirs every day, and you can stock them on these, so you're able to use strength as a dump stat. So inside of the Moonrise Towers, there's a vendor right here, a Raj, and you need to bring a Starian with you. And then once he ends up drinking her blood, you'll be able to get this potion that allows you to get +2 to your strength, which is called the Everlasting Vigor. So this is going to work out well because we can rock the Elixir of Bloodlust to give us an additional attack as well as some temporary shield. And conveniently enough, she actually does sell the Warg Fangs, which we can utilize for the Elixir of Bloodlust, which works out pretty dang well. For Act 3, you can still get the Warg Fangs as well as the Cloud Hill Giant Potions.
Just do make sure you read the label before coughing.
There's a bunch of other good potions too, which is crazy. And then this guy right below sells the Cloud Hill Giant Potions, which I probably scooped up. Yo, if you made it this far, this is crazy. We are almost all wrapped up. Gonna go ahead and show the key weapons and where you can go ahead and find them for Act 1, 2, and 3. And then also gonna show this cool little trick that you can do in order to get your raid charges back without having a long rest at all. So inside the Goblin Camp, you got Grat the Trader. And you can scoop up the good old Returning Pike from here. If you take the Grand Mausoleum teleport in Act 2, you end up fighting these mobs over here. Now on Tactician, the first time I went through here, there were 2 of the chiefs, and I ended up getting 2 lightning jabbers. Let me know if anybody else has run into that. I don't know why that happened. This is your main weapon for Act 2. For the Dwarven hammer, you talk to this guy over here.
These wretches have nowhere to call home, nothing to live off what they carry.
Then he sells this, and you can use the Mask of the Shapeshifter in order to swap to a dwarf and get the benefits from this weapon without having to start off the game as a dwarf. So the Mask of the Shapeshifter is the mask that Fane wore in Divinity, if you're familiar with that. So if you do want this legendary trident, inside Act 3 you head over to Circus of the Last Days. You want to go ahead and steal the ring from this individual. Then you're going to go ahead and hit the jackpot. It's going to teleport you over to another spot and you'll be able to grab this cool old trident. It is pretty solid. Just a heads up, it has bugged out for me a decent bit, and I've had to reload a save in order for it to work. It is bugged out to the point of not even being able to get taken out of my inventory before. So it's just a heads up. Maybe it's just me. Hopefully it's just me. But yeah, another cool item to play around with. So you see that we have no raid charges at all. So what we're going to do is head over to the boy withers, or girl thing. Then we are going to go ahead and respec. We pick fighter first, and then we go all the way up to barbarian, or you can pick whatever your other class is first and then go all the way up to barbarian. So you see that we get our raid charges back like that, and we have a superior number. So that is it for your boy. The rest of this video is just kind of the benchmarks of how strong you can be in Act 1, how strong you can be in Act 2. If you have any questions about anything, please let me know. I try to put a lot of information inside this video while having it not be too long in terms of things that you have to listen to. Hopefully you're able to jump around and navigate through the things that you want. And yeah, we'll do some more good old videos. Adios for now. Peace.
Need to find a way forward. There, in the cage.
I'll keep and just. You want the girl so bad. Fine. Have a roast. Which I want. Bloody clever clubs.
Wonder if the gods are watching me. Something's on my mind. Hope this ends well.
Form upright! Don't let anything get past you! fight's gotten stale from it. Stop embarrassing yourself.
There's nothing. Breathe deep and move.
One life to my life. Sustained.